For Crema Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dlamini. Fake Mentor discusses her book titled No Holy Cows. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
The book entails your moments in your political life from the year 2002 up until 2017. Can you tell us how your political journey started?
You mean before 2002?
Yes.
I was recruited in high school in 1977 by a principal who happened to be an ANC underground operative. My dad sent me to a boarding school he had attended, trying to shield me from the post-76 political upheavals of youth. But he sent me from the frying pan into the fire, because that principal was an operative who spotted me because I had a space at hostel, but when I arrived the space was not there. So I fought quite a bit daily. I went to his office to challenge him on the fact that they lured me to their school promising that they will have hostel space for me, and yet they didn't have because they were still renovating. After 3 months he had to squeeze me into hostel, and he started giving me books to read, and then followed by tasks to perform.
Okay. And why did you decide to write this book, and why this title? Who are the cows?
The cows are the ANC leadership, and they are also members of Zuma's administration. This book actually is a middle part of my autobiography. I tried to publish my autobiography with 6 publishers, 3 international and 3 South African. They all said the book was too big. It should be divided into 3. So after that, this was the middle part of the book. So I decided, because it was much contemporary, I decided to begin to, it's a series of 3 books.
Okay.
The other one I'll release early in the year, just to give this one space to sell a little bit first. So it started as an autobiography, which I began to write when I was 35, because I was extremely sick. And everybody thought I was going to die. And I didn't want people to say things about me that I knew nothing about, because I decided I will tell my story.
Okay.
But then I'm still here today. So after the 40th birthday, I stopped the autobiography. But then when I turned 52, which was 2 years ago, I said, I need to account for the 12-year period that was missing. So that's how this book was actually born. But it's it's a middle of a series of 3 books. It's the middle one.
Interesting. She was the first ANC member to come forward about Gupta State capture, and she was rightly applauded for doing so, because the floodgates that have culminated in the hashtag Gupta Leaks started to open right after her post. So now, going back to how a lot of us know you, because you've been in the ANC for a long time, but we only know about Fake Mentor when you first came out and confirmed the allegations that were revealed by former Deputy Finance Minister Mcebisi Jonas. Why were you quiet?
Actually, I was not quiet. If you can go back into the media reports, for instance, when the ANC government were putting together the State Security Bill that became the State Security Act, they were giving the state wide powers to intercept communication of citizens and to do as they please. I was the only member of the ANC in that committee that stood up publicly against that, and I was the instrumental one in watering down what the ANC wanted to do then, to make sure that whatever it does, citizens' rights to information and privacy is protected. So I've not been quiet. I have ruptured a few, and in fact also I made sure that the ANC expels a sex pest who was Goniwe, Mr. Mbulelo Goniwe, who had sexually harassed a 21-year-old. So I've been in the media quite a lot. In fact, in the ANC, they've always called me controversial.
Okay, now that you've said so. You've also came out and said there's always been this unruly, like, rule to close ranks, so you were not like exposing a lot of things that were happening amongst you, like corruption. Now you are known as a whistleblower. How has that changed your life as well as your family?
To be a whistleblower is a very dangerous thing, because that can culminate in you being attacked to a point where you are killed, or you are so harassed that your children can be harassed too. Your family gets drawn into it also. So it's not an easy thing, but somebody has got to do that.
You were also framed with drug possession, and they've also tried to kill you.
Yes.
Has that affected your life as well?
I've been blessed with a very resilient spirit. I don't give up easily, and I think that's as a result of my upbringing. I was taught, it was ingrained in me right from the beginning of my life, that you have to stick with the truth, even if the truth is threatening your very being and existence and life. So I get very stubborn when I deal with the truth. I have a very inquisitive mind. I probe a lot, I assess a lot, and I've also been trained to do those kind of things. So once I arrive at the truth, I defend it with all I have. And my kids also know I've brought them up that way. I've brought people into my house that I was protecting from rogues, from government employees, from... So they grew up knowing that my place is a safe house for those that are in trouble, but that doing that exposes me and them also to danger.
President Jacob Zuma came out and said, in fact, it's not even him alone, some of the ANC top leaders as well, they said they didn't know you. Some, they said you were crazy. How did that make you feel?
Actually, I still say that I feel very good when they say that I'm crazy, because it means I'm able to operate at a level that many people cannot operate at, because the geniuses and those that have made breakthroughs for humanity have always been labeled crazy. Einstein was labeled crazy. So for me, I take that as a compliment. Yes. Wow. And they also say that because I don't have a single scandal that they can throw back at me. So they have to create something that they try to use to demean me with.
Can you also remind us about your first encounter with President Jacob Zuma back at the conference in 1990?
You know, he was literally fishing for girls, I would put it that way, because the manner in which that car was parked right at the main entry exit of the main hall where the conference was proceeding, and the fact, because I had a 3-month-old baby, I had rushed out just before the stampede, just before everybody would leave. I mean, I left the hall like 10 minutes before the session adjourned, because I wanted to rush to go to the baby, and then the father of the baby was also present at the conference. We agreed that we would leave 10 minutes before every session to go and spend a little time. The car was parked right there, and as I was just passing it, there was a man seated on the driving seat, and there was a man seated at the back seat, and there was another one standing outside. I didn't know, but I came to realize that they were actually his bodyguards. One man told me that the man in the back of the seat would like to speak to me, and as I approached, he rolled down the window. He asked me my name, he asked me where I came from. The minute I said I'm from Kimberley, he said, could I help him to get hold of diamonds? That is a clear indication of the fact that he has been in the struggle to enrich himself. I mean, at that time, diamond dealing just like that was illegal. So he was actually asking me, as an ANC leader that has just arrived from exile, it means that that was his main focus right from the beginning, to enrich himself, to do anything, whether it's within the law or outside the law. At that time, diamond dealing, if you don't have whatever they call it, permission or certificate to do it, you wouldn't. I mean, so he wanted to do that. But also, he wanted to lure me to his hotel room that night. And me crying out that I had a 3-month-old baby did not even deter him. He said he could make plans for that baby. So I've always seen him and known him. And in fact, that's the first time I heard that bad giggle of his that I hate. So I've always looked at him fully knowing that he's a predator. He's a sexual predator. And I'm not surprised that his defenders are mostly women in his cabinet to date.
You also narrate very disturbing incidences indicating how rife corruption has always been in the ANC. Do you think that there is any hope to self-correct?
I don't think so. I think the road runs too deep. I don't think that the ANC in its present form is salvageable. It can't be salvaged. It will take a miracle to save the ANC. It is spiraling out of control. It is eating itself up.
Are you a self-card-carrying member of the ANC at the moment?
Yes, you see, when we were lately, there has been a 5-year membership period. So, but the ANC membership system is so corrupted that if you are vocal or you don't support a particular faction, now the faction of Zuma, your membership is interfered with, especially around conference times. There is a very serious problem in terms of accounting for ANC membership. I don't even think that Gwede knows exactly to the point how much membership the ANC still has. I do know that there was a time that they claimed 1 million members. There's 1 million on paper. But I know that at one stage he said that it dropped to 400. It's difficult to establish. If you are outspoken, your membership is interfered with. They will remove it from the system. You will carry a yellow paper without being given a card until you even lose that. As far as I'm concerned, my membership is going to expire. It will be the 5th year of that second membership term. It will expire next year in October. So I am a card-carrying member, but after a long introspection from Polokwane, I don't think that I'm going to renew my membership when it expires next year, October.
Another outspoken ANC MP was fired from her position last week, Makosi Khoza. Have you had any encounters with her? Do you know, is she coping?
I think she's under a lot of stress and duress. I called her, I think the last time I spoke to her was about 4 weeks ago. I study her postings very carefully, and in between what she writes, I pick up a lot of stress, and it's understandable. She stresses a lot, especially about her children. I mean, I myself broke down when I was doing an interview with the Sunday Times when they asked me about the impact of what I'm doing on my kids. That breaks any woman's heart. You can touch me, but don't touch my children. She's going under a lot of, but I think she's strong enough. I think she will survive. I've traveled the path. I've trotted it that they put her on. They removed me from Public Enterprises Portfolio Committee. They removed me from the chairing the ANC caucus, but I'm still standing today. So it's not positions that make people influential or effective. If you have a set of principles and if you have integrity, you don't have to sit on a position to have influence or to cause change, positive change.
Okay. And I'm sure people would like to know about the most talked about incident that you've narrated in your book, where President Jacob Zuma also tried again to take advantage of you when you were in his office. Can you tell us briefly about that?
Yes. That point is probably a selling point for the book, but my book is more than that. Whereas I would like to sell my book, I think there is a bigger, broader message in the book that should not be missed. So that incident happened. We used, as I was the chair of caucus, initially, because he was the head, the political head of the ANC caucus, he suggested that we should meet monthly to plan together, me and him, and to brainstorm issues that were before the caucus politically. Initially, and in fact, I only realized afterwards that he actually had an agenda. He wanted to have one-on-one meetings with me. The first 2 meetings happened in my own office. After the second meeting, in which I had raised concerns about how ANC monies were being used, and after I had queried, I was bringing it to his attention, certain transactions that I thought were problematic. He said that that was not my call, but he immediately suggested that the next meeting must be in his office. So it is in his office. In that, when I entered, there was a guard outside the door. There were 2 guards. Then the other one followed me into the office with him. I don't know if it's standard procedure that there should be 1 guard at all times close to him, but he ordered the guard out, saying that he would be safe with me, that the guard can wait outside. And I naturally proceeded to the boardroom table, because it's not to sit on a table to have meeting. I brought documents with me, the previous minutes of our meeting and the agenda and all. But he suggested that we should not use the boardroom table, we should sit on the couches. There were 2 couches that were perpendicular to each other, like the 90-degree angle. So I chose this one and put my handbag on the coffee table and set my documents before me, and I set documents for him in front of the other couch where I had expected him to sit. But he took the documents and he did not really sit there. He came to sit on the couch where I was sitting. Both of the couches were 2 wide 2-seaters. So I was surprised, because I mean, each one of us could take a couch. And then as he sat next to me, I moved away, shifted away. Then he shifted closer, and then I shifted until I was at the edge of the. And then he looked at me, and I looked at him, and then, without saying anything, he then shoved his hand through my thighs, which was totally unexpected, very short. In fact, when he started to come and sit next to me, that was odd, and I did feel uncomfortable. But I said, let me not presume, And then when he moved closer, I was getting confirmation by his actions that he was up to being silly. Then I moved away, and then he moved closer. I had made up my mind that he's up to nonsense. So I was getting agitated. So as soon as he did that, I grabbed my handbag from the coffee table, and I slapped him across the face with it. Coffee bag, and I grabbed the set of papers that were in front of me. I left his and walked out of the office. This happens within a very short space of time, and as I walked out, the guard outside asked me what was the matter and all. He was surprised, because I had not been in the office for a long time. So I said to him, go and ask him what happened and what was wrong. I felt very, very dirty. Much as I was wearing stockings, I felt that I have been violated. Much that because I'm a big girl, he couldn't get his hand right through to where he wanted to my private area. But I still felt very dirty, to the point that once I got out of that place, I went straight to the toilets in the other section of Parliament to take off those stockings, because I felt so dirty. I narrated to a few friends of mine and a few people that were close to me what had happened to me. And when I told them, I was surprised that I was told of many women that were willingly interacting with him in compromised ways.
So
But I chose not to be that one.
So are you not surprised on how the ANC is handling such matters now under his leadership?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all, because it's worse now. Even women, who are occupying leadership positions, we haven't heard what the Minister of Women and Children and People with Disability in the presidency is saying. She's drawing a salary, but there are pressing issues that are affecting women, young women, like the issue that we are dealing with right now of Miss Engels and Grace Mugabe. The very ones that are supposed to be defending women are the very ones that are speaking against women, that are defending wrongdoers. The Women's League and Minister Batabile defend Manana. So I'm not surprised, because it's the norm. Somebody asked me how rife is sexual harassment and sexual abuse in the ANC, and then how rife is it in how different it was from the ANC, between the ANC and other parties. I said, I don't know what other parties, what's happening there, because I'm not there. I'm not a member of those parties, but I know what's happening in the ANC. And since my book came out, I've received so many phone calls and inboxes of women that have been abused in the administration, that say they are gathering strength also to deal with what they have gone through, because this book is encouraging them to do so.
But do you have proud moments that you are sharing in the book about your time when you were serving in the ANC?
Yes, it was not always bad. I think I'm proud of myself that I got rid of a chief whip. In any political party throughout the world is a very powerful position.
Yes.
That I managed to get rid of one. That was a proud moment for me. And the state-owned enterprises, when I began to chair them, they were all bleeding. But by the time, after 4 years, at the helm of that portfolio committee, all of them were turning a corner and they were making profit. And I'm proud of that. And also, other members of the ANC caucus says they have never seen an interactive caucus that dealt with issues as we did when I was at the helm. So it's also a proud moment. So it was not always gloomy, because I can really stand my ground.
Yes.
And I apply my mind a lot on issues, and once I decide this is what needs to be done, I put my energy into it, and I also identify people that would be able to help me push that particular agenda. So I think I achieved a lot.
And lastly, would you like to say anything to your fellow ANC members as well as to our ANC leadership at the moment? Is there a word?
I have run out of words for them. I have tried to beg them to put the country first, because what the ANC was all about all the time and what we were taught, it was not a party that was meant to be self-serving. It was a party that was supposed to put the interest of the people and the country first. And that had to be your guiding post in everything you did and said and how you conducted yourself. But I'm not going to waste my breath anymore. I would rather appeal to South Africans to retrieve their country from wrong hands, rather than waste my time and energy by appealing to ANC leadership anymore. It doesn't work. It's like you are romancing a stone.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. That was Fakie Mentor speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about her book titled No Holy Cows.